back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final.
Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Friday, January 31st. We have a lot to cover on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment you may have throughout the live broadcast. It makes the show more lively, more entertaining, between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate your guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, gsmcpodcast.net. That is gsmcpodcast.net. So, we were doing pretty well this week with no technical issues, but they have flared up today as I was trying to go live, but hopefully they're at a minimum. But let's get into what we're going to discuss. So we're going to talk about Matthew Stafford. It looks like he will definitely be coming back, which I'm not surprised by that, but we'll get into that conversation and whether or not it'll be with the Rams or a different team. Then we will also talk about Brandon Beane, the general manager for the Buffalo Bills, his comments on their most recent playoff loss to the Chiefs. We'll get into talking about a possible Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson reunion in Vegas, if there's a chance that can happen. We'll talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and the likelihood of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase both being back with the team next season. And then in the final part of the show, we'll talk about technology that could be replacing the chains when positioning the ball, first down, all that. We'll talk about what the NFL could possibly do. And it's something that we saw a little bit in the preseason, but we'll get into that conversation at the end. Because obviously, the talk of this week was all about Josh Allen and that first down that people thought he picked up. Some people didn't think he did. I was of the mindset that I thought he got it, but apparently not. So we'll get into that conversation at the end of the show. But let's get into the first topic, which is talking about Matthew Stafford. So it's being reported that he is going to come back next season, which, like I said, I'm not surprised. I kind of figured that. Matthew Stafford did play well this year. But now it's all about where. Is it going to be with the Rams? Is it going to be with a different team? What's going to happen there? Now, like I said, I thought he was coming back, and I think it's going to be with the Rams, right? I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. Now, could he end up elsewhere? Sure. There are teams out there that need quarterbacks, but I think the only spot that makes sense for me is to return to LA and be with the Rams. Now, going into the season, before the year started, the Rams and Stafford had to rework some things with his contract, and they were ultimately able to figure that out. And Stafford went out and he had a good year. They overcame some adversity this year because you had injuries to your top two wideouts, and the Rams offense wasn't that fun to watch during that time. And they were 1-4. And it looked like this could be a disaster of a season. But then once they got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp back, against the Vikings on that Thursday night, things changed. And actually, well, you could even look at the game against the 49ers that they won. I mean, the 49ers were missing a ton of guys in that game too, but, the Rams were still able to gut out that win. And then, like I said, they beat the Rams, or they beat the Vikings with Kupp and Puka back. And we know what happened after that. They went on to win a division title, which I didn't expect going into the year. I thought that the Niners would win the division, but the Niners dealt with a ton of injuries. And, they ended up making the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Unfortunately, they fell a little bit short to the Eagles. They had a chance to win that game at the end, but they fell a little bit short. And Stafford played well in that game, with all things considered. With how bad the weather got, he played a good game. Did lose a fumble in that. But I also look at it as, the weather played a huge factor in that. It did. But I'm happy that Stafford's going to be coming back. It's just a matter of now, can the Rams and Stafford, figure things out on their end? Otherwise, maybe he is going to play elsewhere. But I remember when I talked about this a couple weeks ago, I said, I think it could be Stafford that comes back and Cooper Kupp ends up going elsewhere. They end up trading him somewhere. But I didn't see a scenario where both of them weren't coming back. Now, I think there's a scenario where they both do come back. But like I said, I don't see a scenario where they're both gone. And I think you still want to have Cooper Kupp around. I know he had a disappointing finish to his season, but I mean, he's still a productive player. He's a few years removed from the Triple Crown year, I get that, but even when you go back to week 1, Puka Nacua gets hurt, and it was all Cooper Kupp. It was the Cooper Kupp show against the Lions. Now, they came up a little bit short in that game, but Cooper Kupp had a big game. And, maybe it's just one of those tough stretches that you have to deal with. Next year, it's a different year. Let's see if he bounces back from that rough finish to the season. And he had some big plays in the playoffs. I mean, I think he only had one catch against the Vikings, but it was, it's a good catch. And against the Eagles, he had a big catch in that game as well. It's just Puka Nacua has taken, the league by storm. And you could tell that Stafford favors him a little bit more now than he does Kupp. But it's either Stafford comes back and Kupp doesn't come back, or they both come back. Those are the two scenarios that I see happening. And just like I said, when it comes to quarterbacks, there's teams out there that need receivers. So if Cooper Kupp ends up being traded, there's a team that will definitely take a chance on him. But only time will tell. And, I still think Stafford has, 2 to 3 good years left in him. The Rams just got to make sure they protect him. And Stafford's a guy that has dealt with a lot of injuries. He's banged up at times last year. You got to make sure he's protected. And, getting Tyler Higbee back towards the end of the year, after he missed the whole year recovering from the ACL injury that he suffered last year. And that was in the playoffs, I believe. That's a big weapon to get back. So that only makes this offense better going forward. And he was good in the playoffs. So you got him back, you bring Kupp back, you got Puka, and obviously you got Kyren Williams coming out of the backfield. And look at the defense. The defense improved throughout the year. It's a young defense, especially on the defensive line. You got a couple rookies with Verse and Fisk. If they could put together a good offseason, I mean, this team's going to be right there. They're not that far away. They could definitely make a run. You have people on TV saying how, they could be a dangerous team They make the playoffs. I mean, they had a chance to beat the Eagles. They did. But, like I said, the weather got bad. They turned the ball over. And also Saquon Barkley just ran wild on them too. But with Stafford, they're a team that could compete in the NFC. And obviously Sean McVay being one of the best head coaches in the NFL. This is a team that is going to be a problem if you run it back. But like I said, they just got to stay healthy. Got to stay healthy. And they were able to weather the storm with the injuries that they suffered on the offensive line, with the receivers. So they could do it again. But I think they would prefer not to. I think they want to be healthy for the most part from start to finish. But yeah, so my gut feeling, Stafford's going to be back with the Rams. I would be surprised if he went somewhere else. You know, I mean, listen, I root for a team that needs a quarterback. If the Giants were able to get Stafford, that'd be great. But then he'd be behind an offensive line that's not very good. So I don't want that for him. But if the Giants were able to patch up the offensive line and they could protect Stafford, yeah, I'd take him. Also just because I'd like to see the Giants be competitive. You know, and the Steelers are another team. The Raiders we'll talk about in a little bit. The Jets, I mean, we'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it might be possible that he does come back. Might be trending that way. But like I said, I definitely would be a little bit surprised if Stafford ended up leaving the Rams. I think he's going to stay. I think this is where he's going to finish his career. Got 2 to 3 tops, maybe more years left in him. He's going to stay in LA. He's going to stay in LA. But let me know what you guys think. Does Stafford stay with the Rams? Does he go elsewhere? Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about him coming back? I mean, he's still got good football left. We saw that this year. So, like I said, I think he's going to be back with the Rams. I would be a little surprised if he left. So, we're going to take our first break of the show now, and then when we come back, we will talk about Brandon Beane of the Buffalo Bills, his comments on the Bills' recent playoff exit at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'll give you my thoughts on that when we return. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to now talk about the general manager for the Bills, Brandon Beane, and what he had to say on the Bills' recent playoff exit to the Kansas City Chiefs. So, a couple of things that he had to say on the matter. He talked about how the loss stings, and it hurts for their fans, of course. He said, until you do it, you're always going to get questioned. I think that's the biggest quote. This is on just constantly losing to the Chiefs. It is what it is. We know that. We're aware of that. I don't think it takes away from the success, though. I think you have to not just look at it in a vacuum. You look around, you could be a team that's not made the playoffs in X number of years. We know this team went 17 seasons. So ultimately, the further you go, the worse it stings, and there's more eyes on you. There's more people watching each playoff game each season. Yes, we've now been to the AFC Championship twice. We've had some years where we fell short in the divisional round. We're right there, though. We're not getting blown out. If you tell me next year, I'll sign up for it to be in the AFC Championship game, down 3 with 3 whatever to go in the game, and we got number 17. I'll sign up for that again and take our chances. You've got to do a lot of things very well to be in that position. So a lot he said there. Yeah, I mean, it's true. You're always going to get questioned. This is now the 4th time that they have lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs, which is very hard to believe. But that's where we are right now. And you would have thought at some point that they would have knocked off the Chiefs. But that's just how good the Chiefs have been. Now, a lot of people will roll their eyes at that statement because, I mean, it's unbelievable. When I go on social media, the amount of people that are commenting, oh, yeah, the refs helped out Mahomes. Oh, the refs helped out the Chiefs. It's all over the place. So the Chiefs just get no credit. They get no credit at all. The only reason why they're good is because of the refs, right? Is that what we're saying? I don't think so. You know what it is? It's because the Chiefs play in these tight games. And because maybe there's a flag or two here or there that doesn't go the opposing team's way, it goes in the Chiefs' favor. It's like, oh, well, that's why the Chiefs won. Now, I will admit there were some flags this year that you could say, well, it's because of that they won. I'll give you the Bengals game earlier this year when it was a 4th down. Mahomes threw something up to make something happen, and then there was a pass interference call. They got into field goal range, and they won the game. I'll give you that. But you can't say that the Chiefs are only good because of the refs. You can't. And James Cook even spoke out on it, too. The Buffalo Bills running back, he spoke out on it. And I'm not going to say exactly what he said, but the refs' narrative is ridiculous. The Bills had an opportunity to go into Kansas City and win that game. Game is defined by more than just a couple of plays. It's just the Chiefs, they play in these close games. So, you know, when an official makes a call in a big moment, yeah, that could be a huge deal. And we saw that on Sunday. Because that first down that Josh Allen was just short of getting, which, again, I thought he got it. Jim Nantz thought he got it. Tony Romo thought he got it. Gene Steratore thought he got it. But apparently he didn't get it. I thought he got it. Now, it's not the best angles. It's a huge pile, but I thought he was able to get it, but apparently not. Apparently not. And Josh Allen has played great in these games. But he's always on the losing end. And at this point, I got to see it to believe it. You know, I mean, Brandon Beane, of course, is going to defend his quarterback. And that, you know, hey, I'll take that scenario every time. With time left on the clock, Josh Allen's got to go down the field and either tie the game or win it. I get it. But it just seems like that never happens. Whether it's because of a coin toss, whether it's because of a missed field goal, Or, it's just the Chiefs being able to make a play. One more play than Josh Allen's able to make. Because, I referenced the Tyler Bass missed field goal, the divisional round, which was one of the greatest playoff games ever. Josh Allen didn't even touch the ball in overtime. And that's why they changed the overtime rules for the Bills. And the Bills have not played an overtime playoff game since that got implemented. And then, of course, they had an opportunity here. Go down the field and at least tie the game. And they weren't able to do it. They were not able to do it. And it's not all on Josh Allen, because I know people are complaining about the play calling as well. But they had a chance. They had a chance. And it goes back to that conversation. When are they going to break through? Just got to keep chugging away at it. Because they have the quarterback. Obviously, the roster isn't the best. And you could look at Josh Allen as being the main reason why this team, makes the playoffs every year. And especially this year, because not a lot of people had the Bills performing well. Now, I was originally heading down that path, but then I came back and I was like, nah, this team is going to make the playoffs. I just didn't have them winning the division. But they can go into this offseason. You add another receiver maybe. You work on the defense. Because the defense definitely needs some work. Look at what happened after Christian Benford went out. They picked on that corner Elam all night. They got to patch up the defense. And then just hope that it breaks your way. And it's just amazing how Josh Allen and the Bills do, how well they do against the Chiefs in the regular season. And then the postseason, it is the complete opposite. They can't beat him. Well, really nobody can. And once again, I found myself watching the AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and the Bengals. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that the Bengals won that game. The Chiefs were destroying them. Mahomes and that offense was moving up and down the field. And then all of a sudden, the game changed on a dime when the Bengals stopped Tyreek Hill at the end of the first half. And then Mahomes was turning the ball over, and the Bengals were moving up and down the field. And then all of a sudden, you go into overtime, Mahomes throws a pick, and then the Bengals win the game. And then, obviously, the Burrowhead stuff started, and then the Chiefs beat them the following year. But, fans will complain about that because Mahomes got pushed out of bounds, and then there was a late flag. But again, they were playing in a very close game. It's just, I don't know who it's going to be. I said before the year started that the Bengals had the best chance to knock off the Chiefs, simply on the fact that they have done it before. They're the only team that has done it. Not the only team. The Patriots have done it, and the Buccaneers, but that's because Tom Brady was the quarterback. Tom Brady's not playing anymore. So really, it's the Bengals. And the Bengals didn't even make the playoffs. And we'll talk about the Bengals a little bit later in the show. Talking about their wide receivers. But that's who I thought had the best chance. They didn't make it, so it was going to be, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. They played against each other in the divisional round. Allen knocked off Lamar. And it was up to Josh. And he fell short again. Now, maybe if the Chiefs get their three-peat, then maybe you'll start... Maybe you'll see the Chiefs kind of let their guard down and be like, all right, we made history. We three-peated. We're good. Honestly, though, I mean, no, they're not going to think that. Because how much you want to bet that if they win, you're going to hear them say, now we're going to be the first team to four-peat. They'll start thinking that. I mean, they were already talking about three-peating at the parade last year. So, yeah, it's tough for these teams because there are some really good quarterbacks in this league. Very talented. The most talented we've probably ever seen. Well, at least in my lifetime. But you know what they don't have? They don't have the hardware. Mahomes is the only one out of this generation of quarterbacks that has won. For everybody else, they're behind. And Josh Allen's one of them. And you know what? I still want to believe that Josh Allen, he's going to win a ring. Lamar Jackson's going to win a ring at some point. Joe Burrow's going to win a ring at some point. But when is that going to happen? The Bills are right there. The Bills are right there. The Ravens are right there. The Bengals, they need to get back there, but they will. They got to fix that defense. And we'll see what happens with T. Higgins again. We'll talk about that later. But they got to figure some things out. So, let me know what you guys think, though, about what Brandon Beane had to say. More thoughts on the AFC Championship game. Let me know in the comments. Before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment you may have throughout the live broadcast. It makes the show more lively, more entertaining. Between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers, we appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, gsmcpodcast.net. That is gsmcpodcast.net. So when we come back from our next break, we will talk about, is there a potential Russell Wilson-Pete Carroll reunion in the works? We'll get into that conversation when we come back. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about a possible Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson reunion out in Vegas. So he was asked about Russell Wilson, and he kind of said it's too early. What did he say? It was like too early in the process. I'll get the some of the quotes from him, but it wasn't like completely dismissed. So, I mean, could it possibly happen? Maybe. But then it got me thinking, well, didn't their relationship end on the wrong foot? Now, I did read some recent quotes from Russell Wilson, and, he was saying how Pete Carroll's like a father figure, and, he doesn't understand why, people in the media were trying to tear down their relationship. I mean, there was definitely something going on, because obviously I went back, because I remember things did not end well between Russ and the Seahawks. And you had former players like Richard Sherman and KJ Wright and even Marshawn Lynch, too, speaking out. Like, Marshawn Lynch talked in a negative way about Pete Carroll. You know, but this goes back to everything that happened in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, where they didn't run the ball, and, of course, Russell Wilson throws that pick to Malcolm Butler. And that kind of changed the course of history, honestly, because if the Seahawks win that, they're back-to-back champions. And then who knows what happens. And then they go on, maybe they win another one. But things like deteriorated or started to deteriorate after that Super Bowl. And that was a very good Seahawks team. Because, you know, then it seemed like Pete Carroll was, you know, giving Russell Wilson different treatment, special treatment, as opposed to some of the other players on the team. And then it kind of changed from the Legion of Boom to Russ's team. Because then, like, all these guys started to leave. And, yeah, it became Russ's team. You know? And I mean, it seems like things have smoothed over. But like I said, I wanted to get into what Pete Carroll said. I thought I could have swore I had the quotes here. But either way, yeah, he said, I mean, basically, like, he didn't completely shut it down. But it's not like he said, yeah, no, that could definitely happen. Like I said, I'm gonna try to. I thought, like I said, I thought I had it. Thought I had it up. Yeah, so he said it's too early to say if Russell Wilson is an option for the Raiders at quarterback. And he said that he was on the Susie Schuster and Amy Trask podcast, and it's called What the Football. And he said it's too early, or it's so early, and we're just in the midst of trying to find the puzzle pieces. We're not even putting them together yet. So I can't even say. Free agency hasn't come yet. That's the first competitive opportunity that will occur. Then the draft is coming. We'll have that opportunity. I can't tell you right now. I could guess, but it would just be a guess. And he also said, I promise you, if you're a real competitor, you're not letting options get away from you. So we're going to consider every option as a possibility, and we'll go after it very aggressively with intent and hopefully with a sense and a feeling that people want to be a part of this thing. And right now they have Gardner Minshew and Nate O'Connell on the roster. So, and I think we can all assume that there's going to be another quarterback that's brought in. Now, could a Russell Wilson-Pete Carroll reunion work? You know, Pete Carroll got a lot out of Russell Wilson. You know, because like I brought up before, when it kind of transitioned out of the Legion of Boom, Marshawn Lynch era, and then it was the Russ era, Russ had some very good years, you know, post-Legion of Boom and post-Marshawn Lynch. You know, and it was weird because his seasons, like, he would get off to these great starts, and you would think, oh, Russ is going to win MVP. And then he kind of slowed down a bit, and then he would end up not winning the MVP. And even after the Legion of Boom years, I mean, they made the playoffs basically every year. Russ did get hurt in 2021. They missed the playoffs then, and then obviously he got traded. Which, the other thing too is there was those reports out there that he wanted John Schneider and Pete Carroll let go. That he went to the Seahawks ownership group and was like, or ownership, and said that he supposedly did not want Pete Carroll and the GM to come back. Allegedly. And then that didn't end up happening. And it's, I think stuff with like his contract too, and then eventually just led to him being traded. And I mean, I remember when he made his return with the Broncos week 1 in Seattle, and he was getting booed. Things did not end well. But like I said, things kind of got smoothed out. And it seems like everything's all good. But, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to bring up. So, I saw an Instagram post. So this is back in March of 2022. The Commanders reportedly offered the Seahawks a large trade package. They would have got a ton of first-round picks, or a handful of first-round picks, for Russ, but then Russ, of course, got traded to Denver. I mean, the Commanders, based off of how things went, Commanders did the right thing. Commanders avoided a catastrophe, because now look at them. They made the NFC Championship game this year. They got their quarterback of the future. Yeah, they were lucky that they missed out on Russ. And now, you know, you look at Russ's body of work since Seattle. The first year in Denver was not great. The second year in Denver was okay. And with the Steelers, same thing. I think Russ could still play football. But is he the Russell Wilson that you see on the screen here? No. It's not the same player. Now, we saw a little bit more out of him, I think, with Pittsburgh than his last year in Denver. And, you know, could Vegas be a possibility? I guess. But he could be going back to Pittsburgh anyways. But Pete Carroll, like, obviously gave an answer, you know, now reading the quote. Doesn't really reveal much. I mean, I don't think it, like I said before, I don't think it shuts the door on Russ being brought in. But I would probably lean towards no. I think they want to go in a different direction. I think the Raiders are a team that needs a franchise quarterback. I think we all know that. I don't think bringing in a veteran, I mean, obviously to bring in a guy that could be a bridge, you could do that. The Raiders are definitely, in my opinion, going to take a quarterback in this draft. I don't know where. Could they take it with their first selection? They could. They could take best player available. It's just, it goes back to that quarterback class. It's not like this quarterback class is a generational class. So you don't want to reach. For the Raiders, they are a team that needs more than just a quarterback. The quarterback happens to be the most important position. We get that. But they need more than just a quarterback. They need more weapons on this offense. I think a running back is definitely a position that they're going to address here. I'm not saying they're going to take a running back with their first pick, but I do think because of how loaded this running back draft class is, they'll probably take one at some point. They need another receiver. We know they got Brock Bowers, so they're good there. He's basically their number one receiver. You know, the defense, you know, Pete Carroll's definitely going to want to transform that. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with this roster. Now, maybe you do bring in Russ, the familiarity that's there. Bring him in on a 1-year deal. They draft a quarterback. That quarterback sits behind Russ. I mean, I don't know how many times I've said that for teams. Like, oh yeah, sign this guy, have the young quarterback sit behind him. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've seen some articles where, like, maybe Sam Darnold, they bring him in. I'm curious to see where Sam Darnold ends up. Because did those last 2 games really just knock down his stock and really just make the Vikings question, yeah, maybe we shouldn't bring him back? But we'll see. What do you guys think, though, about a Pete Carroll-Russell Wilson reunion? It would be interesting. It would be interesting. See, this would be a more likely reunion, in my opinion, than an Aaron Rodgers-Mike McCarthy reunion. Well, now that's just not going to happen because Mike McCarthy's not coaching. But I know we did a topic on Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. I think it was last week. I mean, I could see it. I could see a Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll reunion. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Raiders are going to go elsewhere with quarterback. And like I said, with the draft coming up, they're going to get somebody. They're going to get somebody. And maybe they don't, I mean, that quarterback might not start week 1, but they're at least going to try and address the position. But this roster needs a lot of work. It does. But I love the Pete Carroll hire. I've said that over and over again. So the Raiders are heading in the right direction. And you also got Tom Brady there as well, who has a say. But it would be interesting if, like, Tom Brady's your boss. You have Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. After what transpired in that Super Bowl, it would just be a weird relationship. If that's what, I mean, it already is weird thinking about it. With Pete Carroll and Tom Brady. And Tom Brady is now Pete Carroll's boss, in a sense. But we'll see. But let me know what you guys think. Could a Russell Wilson-Pete Carroll reunion work? You see that happening? What do you think the Raiders end up doing with the quarterback position? Do they address it in free agency? Do they go to the draft? Do they do both? Which is probably what they're going to end up doing, because I think they'll bring in somebody else. You know, I mean, Aiden O'Connell didn't do a bad job last year. He had some good games, but he's not the answer. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. So we are going to take our next break, and then when we come back, we will talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and whether or not they're going to keep both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, which is something we've talked about a handful of times before the season, and now the season's over. And yeah, it might be the end of an era. So we'll talk about it when we come back. So stick around, and we'll be right back.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we're going to talk about the Bengals and seeing another Instagram post. So, Raiders are actually going to have a lot of cap space this offseason. So, they could definitely go out and spend. Potential target, free agent target could be Chris Godwin. So, you know, just something to note. I know we'll definitely take a look at some point, you know, where every team's cap space situation is at, who's going to spend a lot in the offseason. We'll definitely take a look at that because we're going to have a lot of time with football nearing the end. Also, make sure to tune into the Pro Bowl. We had the skill challenge last night. There was a spike competition. That's where we're at right now, a spike competition. Now, Mahomes, he would not have won that based off of the spike that he had in the game on Sunday against the Bills. But anyways, let's get into T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Let's get into that conversation. So, the GM of the Bengals spoke about, you know, the likelihood of keeping both of these guys. And it's going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult to keep both of them. And Jamar Chase had an unbelievable season. Triple crown. T. Higgins, like he has for most of his career, he missed some time. But when he did play, he was great. So Duke Tobin, the GM of the Bengals, he addressed the situation. So he said, it's going to be hard. We feel like we have the resources to do it, but it all depends on how the negotiations go and whether they're willing to accept wanting to come back at a number that makes sense for everybody. And you know what we could do with T. Got cut off here. I got to read the whole. Oh, yeah. T going forward. I've always been very upfront in my desire to have T. Higgins on our team. Actually, no, this is the director, Bengals director of personnel, Duke Tobin. So that's what he said. It is tough. It is going to be very tough to try and keep both of these guys because, T. Higgins is going to want to get paid. Jamar Chase deserves to get paid more than T. Higgins. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Oh no, Duke Tobin is the general manager. Because in the article it said director of personnel. But anyways, yeah, I mean it is gonna it's gonna be tough to keep both. It's gonna be tough to keep both. You already paid Joe Burrow, and you got to keep at least one of them. And I would lean towards keeping Chase. Chase stayed relatively healthy this year. T. Higgins every year is hurt. And on top of that, the Bengals, they need to fix this defense. Because that defense was not good. It was pretty bad, and that's the main reason why they didn't make the playoffs. Because you had an offense that was so elite this year. And then you had a defense that was the polar opposite. They couldn't get any stops. And they lost a lot. And they still, with how bad their defense was, they still had an opportunity to win a lot of games. But they were on the losing end of some really tough games. The 2 games against the Ravens. And I mean, when you have the Steelers and you see how they finished out the year, the Steelers come walking into your home stadium, right? And now, there was a defensive touchdown in the game, but the Steelers put up 44 points on you at home, and we saw how they struggled offensively to finish out the year. It was bad. And, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, they had their coming out party against you on that Monday night. They got to fix that defense. And you don't want to fall into the trap of most of your I mean, it's kind of like the Cowboys with, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. You don't want to have just a couple or a few guys taking up most of your cap space because then you can't go out and build out your roster. Defense, they need to patch up. It's just unfortunate because, you saw, I mean, the Bengals offense still, was good without T. Higgins when T. Higgins missed time. But when you have T. Higgins there, it makes a difference. They're a great duo, him and Chase. Because when you have both of them on the field, defenses are like, all right, well, we got to double Chase. And then, you have T. Higgins one-on-one or vice versa, whatever. Now, you lose T. Higgins, and it's like, all right, well, now we just got to try to take Chase out of the game, which, I mean, look, the Ravens on that Thursday night, I mean, Chase had 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, the Ravens' defense got better as the year went along after that game, but still, I mean, and that was without T. Higgins. And, you're hearing the reports about Jermaine Burton, the rookie wide receiver who had a very disappointing year and some off-the-field issues as well. Bengals talking about how, he hasn't really earned a roster spot. He's going to have to try to earn it next year. Otherwise, he's going to be gone. I mean, Yoshi Voss was okay for them. He made plays for them this year as, their number 3. And this is after losing Tyler Boyd. And Tyler Boyd probably regrets signing with the Titans. Mike Gesicki was a good pickup. Chase Brown was a huge surprise for them. So, I mean, even if T. Higgins leaves, you still got talent. But you're going to have to bring in another receiver through the draft. It's probably what they're going to end up doing. But they're going to pay Jamar Chase. I mean, they have to pay Jamar Chase. You can't. I mean, they're not going to lose both. But It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough process. And I thought there was a report out there that maybe T. Higgins would take less. But if he can go elsewhere, make a lot of money, be the number one guy, I mean, it's hard to say no to that. You know, the Patriots could be a team. I mean, maybe the Chargers. Chargers need wide receiver help. Maybe he goes to the Bills. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing teams out there. But I know the Patriots are a team that definitely could be a possibility because they are a team that is desperate for help at that position. And you got a young quarterback that you want to surround them with talent. And, you know, they brought back Josh McDaniels, the Patriots did. And I don't think he's that bad of an offensive coordinator. You know, did well with Mac Jones his rookie season. You know, now you bring in him to help out Drake May. You bring in more weapons. And, you know, the Patriots, and obviously Vrabel now is the head coach. You know, the Patriots got something going again. There's going to be a lot of teams trying to get T. Higgins. And if the Bengals are able to work it out, that would be great. Because, you know, that trio of Higgins, Chase, and Burrow, that Chargers game during the year, you know, Chase had a couple of touchdowns and T. Higgins had that touchdown, that long touchdown. I mean, the Bengals offense, when they're clicking, they are fun to watch. No, not even that. Even the Broncos game, which was one of the best games of the year. But the Chargers-Bengals game, I just thought of that because that was a fun game too. But yeah, Bengals-Broncos, that was a fun game. T. Higgins catches the game-winning touchdown, and he had another touchdown before that. They are just a fun team to watch. And it's just, you know, it kind of stunk not having them in the playoffs. But you know what? They did it to themselves. If you would have just beat the Patriots the first week of the season, you would have been in. You would have been in. Now, I don't know if they would have beat Buffalo, but they still would have been in. It's amazing how much of an impact that game had because the Patriots would have had a higher draft pick if they would have lost, and the Bengals would have been in the postseason. And T. Higgins didn't play in that game. It looked like Jamar Chase was not going to play in that game because of, you know, he was still dealing with the contract stuff, and I think he popped up on the injury report too. But anyways, yeah, it is going to be tough for the Bengals to figure this out. They're definitely going to keep Jamar Chase. They're going to prioritize paying him, and T. Higgins is unfortunately going to be on the wrong end. And he's going to end up going elsewhere. Now, he's going to go to if he goes to another team, he's going to get paid a big contract. It's not going to be with the Bengals. So we'll see what happens. I hope that T. Higgins comes back because, like I said, when you got this offense clicking, it's a lot of fun to watch. But you know what? It's a business. So if he ends up going elsewhere, so be it. It is what it is. But let me know what you guys think about this. Can the Bengals work it out with T. Higgins? Do you think that maybe they can get something done? Maybe he takes a little bit of a discount to come back because obviously they franchise tagged him before the year started, but they're not going to do that again. So T. Higgins could be, or maybe they do tag him. I don't know. But right now, I would say T. Higgins is probably gone, and they're going to pay Jamar Chase. But let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. So we are going to take our final break of the show now. And when we come back, we're going to talk about something a little bit interesting, and that is, you know, could AI replace the chain gang? The Hawkeye tech that they actually used in the preseason. We'll talk about that and, you know, if that should be implemented, which I'll tell you right now, yeah, should be. just get into that conversation to end off the show here for today. So for one final time today, make sure to stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're going to get into talking about new technology that could replace the chain gang. And I'm all for it. I am all for it. I am all for accuracy. It is 2025. There needs to be some sort of change because we can't be having, the days of Gene Steratore and the index card, that needs to, I mean, obviously Gene Steratore is not an official anymore, but still, we need to move away from that. And, this all comes from what happened on Sunday. Because it was a crucial moment in one of the biggest games of the year. And many people are going to look at that first down that Josh Allen didn't pick up, which, again, like I said earlier in the show, I thought he did, and say that is the reason why the Bills lost, which it's not. But there needs to be some sort of change there. Now, this Hawkeye technology, the NFL is testing it, and this would replace the traditional, chain gang first down markers. Now, this was tested, like I said earlier in the show, this was during the preseason, and will be tested again next preseason. This uses up to about 60 cameras, including 6 8K resolution cameras to track ball movement with AI. The system improves accuracy and speeds up calls by 40 seconds compared to traditional chain measurements. The system was not used during the 2024-2025 regular season or playoffs, but it could be implemented in the future, which I hope it is, because we need something. We need something. A chip in the ball, whatever it is, do it. Because we need accuracy. Because I'm sick and tired, like I said, I'm sick and tired of it with people just complaining. I mean, look, I do think that Josh Allen got the first down. But like I said in the show, earlier in the show, the Bills had more than just that opportunity to win the game. They got the ball back again. You could have went down the field, and we could have completely forgot about that first down. The thing is, and this is separate from what we're talking about here, the Bills had trouble, and everyone's talking about this, the Bills just had trouble with their tush-push. I mean, Josh Allen is this big quarterback. He should be barreling through these guys. How is it that, they just were having such a problem with it? I don't know. But, like I said, I am all for it. Now, supposedly there's people that aren't in favor of it, and Travis Kelce is, in the article that I was looking at, Travis Kelce's name was in it, and he, is for tradition. Here's the thing. When it comes to that kind of tradition, traditions need to end at time. Traditions need to end. Certain traditions. This is a tradition that does need to end. Now, I get it. Those guys are going to be out of a job then. I wouldn't mind being a guy that, has the chains and, is, coming out to spot the ball. I do that, but you know what? It's not up to, it doesn't matter. We need to fix this. This is a problem. And this is something that they can fix. Now, the only issue is, well, of course there's always going to be issues, but one of the biggest issues is, well, if we implement this, what happens if, a lot of calls don't get reversed or, things like that? What if it doesn't make a big difference? Well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But it can't hurt. I mean, they got this replay assist now. Like, we could figure this out. So, I'm all for it. Do it. Test it out in the preseason again. There's got to be something they can do. And it's just because I just, the complaining and just all that, we need something that is going to be accurate. And like I was telling you, be fast. It'll take a while. I mean, I'd have to go back and look. How long did that Gene Steratore index card incident, how long did that take? Probably a while. So with this, right away, and let's go. Let's keep playing. Actually, the Hawkeye technology is already being used in tennis to determine whether balls are in or out. Okay. So the NFL should be able to do that too. Phil Simms questioned whether it takes too long to process decisions. Yeah, I mean, look, they'll figure it out. I'm sure they will figure out all the, they'll figure things out. So, I don't know. This is something that needs to change. Now, hopefully it doesn't have hopefully it's not similar to when they review pass interference call. Well, it's a completely different thing, but when they changed the rule where you can review a pass interference call and that didn't do anything, you want this change to stick. And I feel like this one will definitely stick. But it should happen sooner rather than later. Just because, again, but then, there'll be certain fans that are like, oh, well, this will benefit the Chiefs somehow. I don't know. The NFL wants to perfect accuracy before fully implementing it in a regular season. Yeah, when it comes to the technology, yeah, you want to. You want to make sure this thing is efficient. You don't want it to cause problems in the middle of it. I mean, imagine if this thing malfunctioned during the AFC Championship game or any kind of championship game or the Super Bowl. People would lose their minds. Then again, maybe the people that the chain gang, maybe they don't lose their jobs because you could also have them there as a backup, as a security blanket, just in case the technology, malfunctions or something, because there's always issues with technology. So you could still have them there, just to make sure, if the technology, something happens, you got them there as a backup. So, look, I'm all for it. We are, the future is now. So, technology is only improving. I apologize for the background noise. I swear, every door that my brother opens, he doesn't just shut it. He has to, it's like he slams it. It's not he slams it. Everything. Even when he comes home at night. He comes home at night and, everyone's sleeping. Still slams the door. And he's right across the hall from my parents' room. So yeah, I apologize for the background noise, but you probably can't even really hear it. I don't know how much you can hear, how clearly it is, but it's whatever. But I just wanted to bring that up. Yeah, we need new technology. We need doors that, when you slam it, doesn't make any noise. We need something like that. Oh, ready? He's opening the door now. No, nothing happened. Okay. Got way off topic here, but anyways, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, this needs to be implemented. Can we please do it? We'll see how it works out in the preseason down the line again. I have to go and see, how well it worked. Because, like I said, they did use it in the preseason. So, we'll get to see it again, and hopefully it gets perfected. And then we start seeing it in regular season games and playoff games, and then we don't have this whole outcry over Josh Allen not getting the first down. And we don't have to have all these people on social media, breaking it down and giving their own analysis on it. Where it could be like, hey, this is it right here. Definitively, he got the first down. So. But, yeah, so that is, that's my thoughts on it. I'm for it. Let me know what you guys think. Or are you guys for tradition, like Travis Kelce? Yeah, no. Sometimes you got to do away with the tradition. See what I mean? If you heard it. Actually, that wasn't too bad. Yeah, that's it, though. That is pretty much it for the show for today. Surprisingly, it's a Friday. No predictions. All right, so I'll actually give you one quick prediction. So, the flag football game, it's Eli Manning versus Peyton Manning. I'm going to pick Eli over Peyton this week. I'd have to go back and look who's I think Eli won the first year they did it. And then Peyton, I don't remember. I have to go back and look. I know Eli definitely won one year. But I'm going to say Eli's team, NFC over AFC in the flag football game. There's a prediction there for it. I know it's strange not doing picks, but that's where we're at now. So, I mean, don't worry. Next Friday, I will make my pick for the Super Bowl, even though you kind of know what it is already. But Friday's going to be next week. We're going to dive more into the Super Bowl because it's Super Bowl week. Obviously, media day. There's going to be a lot of players speaking to the media, and we'll kind of dissect some of the things that they may say that we could spin into a segment. And then that's it. That's it. Then the year's over, and then we are in the off season, and then it's like, all right, gotta get creative. So, but I appreciate you guys tuning in for the show for today. Actually, shout out to our college football host, Tommy. He just did his final show today. It's before mine. So this will be this is actually his last show with us. And, I'll be seeing him in the production meeting in a little bit. But I wanted to just say that I wish him the best of luck. And he does a great job. Well, now I have to say, he did a great job on the show. As our college football expert. And he's going to be missed. So I just wanted to extend that out. Extend that farewell out to him, and I know I'll be saying that in the production meeting as well. But, yeah, so make sure to check out his show if you haven't, this final show of the day, or final show of the day. Final show ever on the football, or on the sports network, on the GSMC Sports Network. So, yeah, make sure to check that out. And check out all the other shows as well. And make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. And, yeah, that is pretty much it. So, as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the Pro Bowl flag game if you're going to watch it. And I will talk to you guys on Monday. Take care.
Let's go.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't